So, the ongoing saga of the tractor. Today's Sunday, nothing's happening with it. Yesterday, a repair technician from Scott's came out, and you'll notice that the tractor's now in the dooryard, came out to change the DEF sensor and sending unit and to replace the DEF in the tank. Theory being, they had never done anything with the DEF in the tank. It was supposed to be drained and refreshed with new. There's even a sticker on the inside of the cab that says that's exactly the procedure when you're using this tractor. If it sits for more than a few months, change the DEF. So, and that's right there. So anyway, they hadn't done that. The tractor has been on the lot for 2 years almost. DEF degrades above 84 degrees rapidly. In perfect storage, if you keep it 50 degrees, it'll last for a long time. Typical DEF in a store, you definitely want to buy it when the date code is under a year, and 6 months or even fresher is better, because as soon as it goes in the machine, your vehicle or your tractor, it starts to degrade. Not only temperatures below 50 degrees, but any temperature climbing up above 50 towards 84, and in a black container on your tractor in the summer, that DEF is going to see a lot more than a 94 even. Probably gets up above 100 degrees. So keeping that DEF turning over and fresh is ideal. So chances are the very cold temperatures and the DEF turning slushy, which altered the urea water concentration, although that's not supposed to happen, plus degraded DEF because it sat around, and any DEF that had been in could have crystallized because the system wasn't constantly being flushed through, could have crystallized up in the sending unit. So they thought changing the sending unit and changing the DEF was going to fix it. The engine is still derated. We couldn't get it out of limp mode, so I crawled the tractor up in low range up the hill. It barely had enough RPM in limp mode at under 1,000 RPM to get up the hill, but figured it'd be a lot easier to work on it up here. Tomorrow's Monday. They're sending the technician down, the head technician, with the computer to check the codes, to flash the drive and try and clear the limp mode and hopefully get the tractor going again. And I also told them not to fill, because they brought DEF with them, which was a low quality DEF. Told them not to fill the tank more than half full, because I don't know how often I'll be using this tractor initially, because it's still winter. I want to make sure that I turn over the DEF that's in there fairly rapidly. I don't want a full tank sitting there. Plus, and this was a full tank, and we're lucky it didn't rupture, because DEF also expands when it freezes, and that's below 12 degrees Fahrenheit. So you're never supposed to fill your tank right to the top. Well, this one, when we took the lid off, it gushed out. So it had definitely expanded in the cold. So thank God the tank didn't crack, because that would have meant the tractor would have been out of commission for even longer. So this is just frustrating beyond belief, because I've only put 3 hours on the machine, and I have a lot of work I want to do with it. Up here on top of a ladder, making a few modifications to the tractor, getting the mirrors spun around so that I can actually see them from inside the cab. As they came factory positioned, they spread out too far. You can see a wide implement behind you, but you can't see what's right behind the tractor. So I'm going to spin them in and modify my view and improve it. So I loosened the bolts on the back of the mirror and adjusted it into the next indentation setting. And now, sitting in the cab of the tractor, I can see the hind quarter of the tractor. You can see, that's what I could see. If I wanted a little bit more vision, I could loosen the nut out up top there and run the arm out. But otherwise, that's good. This is what it used to look like. That's no good. And being able to spin that's much better. I got to drive a lot on the roads, so being able to see back traffic, and people always pass tractors when you're on the road. So that's going to be critical to being able to drive, make it functional. One of the things I'm going to do this week with the new tractor is take the loader off so that I can drive without the loader and the weight and all that. But in order to do that, I wanted to identify the hoses. So I got these Outback wrap things, bought them off of, I guess I bought them from the manufacturer. They're oil proof, so they'll last longer than just tape, or I used to use zip ties work. And they have color-coded caps, but the caps are only on one end, and they're multiples of the same color. Like there's 2 blacks, 2 yellows, a green, and a red. So that's meaningless. And they had put tape on to match them, except the tape's faded. So this yellow is also the same as another yellow. So that's no good. So I've got 6 completely different colors, one for the top and one for the bottom, so that I can, when these are taken off, I can easily couple them back up without confusing them or getting the lines crossed, which is a nightmare to undo if you get them backwards. Reattaching the loader functions. The only thing I will say about using this stuff in 30-degree weather is it's damn stiff. It's really hard to get on there. I got this. The size is supposed to be good for 1/4 inch to inch and 1/4 pipe, but this 3/4 hose, it's really tight and hard to get on. Certainly in this temperature, I actually left them sit on the radiator in a house to warm up. They were nice and pliable when I brought them out here, but that only lasted a minute or less. So I've got the rest in the house. I'll probably put them on when it's a little warmer. The more I'm thinking about this, the more I'm getting a little pissed off about the tractor. Now, when I went up and bought the thing and made the agreement and got the delivery scheduled, they said that it would be 7 to 10 days, because they really like to thoroughly go through the tractor top to bottom and make sure that everything checks out. So I had to wait a week before they delivered the tractor. And now we come to find out that they didn't check out everything. There were, in fact, when I got the tractor, there was a pin missing in the 3-point hitch system. Now that could have fallen out during delivery, and that's fine. It's a $5 pin, big deal. They're going to give me a new one, but they have to mail it to me. And there were several zerks on the 3-point system that weren't greased at all. Had never seen a lick of grease ever, so that means they didn't go through and grease the entire machine. Now, I looked at the list. They checked off coolant, fuel, blah, blah, blah. And under the pressure of time here on the farm and getting things done and sending the driver on his way the day it was delivered, I signed off on their checklist. And that's my fault, because I really should have gone through the tractor. But having been told by the salesman they were going through the tractor, I would expect it to be fine for at least the first diesel tank worth of fuel to go through it. But as we found out, that wasn't the case. They hadn't checked or replaced the DEF at all. I've come to find out that 4 major grease points on the steering system haven't seen a lick of grease since the factory. So I am really going to complain about this when they show up today, because the technician wasn't able to solve the problem on Saturday because he didn't have the training enough to do a full reset on the DEF emission system. So I had to wait for the head technician to come down. Now, I haven't heard hide nor hair from him yet this morning, but he's supposed to show up today at some point, I don't know when, to flash the computer system to try and get it out of limp mode. And I will be bitching about the lack of service in some of the areas, especially those suspension, basically what would be the steering knuckles, top and bottom. There's not even grease in the Zerk. So I'm not going to grease anything. And while I have time right now and the tractor's unusable, I can't be servicing it because I want all the stuff I discover to be pointed out to the technician when he shows up, so I can bitch at him, because I am now getting increasingly more pissed off, because now this is 3rd day without the tractor, and if they don't solve it today, then I'm screwed for however future going forward, all because they didn't do their due diligence in the service that they said they did, that they held the tractor up for in the first place. So Scott's Recreation gets a black mark on my list just for that alone. However, to some degree, their service and how they've handled this situation on a positive note will carry them forward going forward. But now I have a new tractor with only 3 hours that I put on it that really I need to spend time now going through with a fine-tooth comb that I shouldn't have to do because I was told that was already done. Look at that. It's 5:30 and it's still light. It was a beautiful day today too. No rain, no weather, no snow, except it's bitter cold. It's got to be about 10 degrees with a wind chill all day. But the good news is the tractor, who for now we'll call Carmen, Carmen is working. The dudes came out with their laptop, tablet, and engine scanner, computer programmer tool thingy, and mucked around. At first they didn't remember how to get it set up. They don't do this often on this size machine. And so it took them about a half hour, 45 minutes to screw around and get the thing to connect, and technology, right? So they got it going, got some parameters set, did some tests, dosed the DEF through the system a few times, started it up, let it get warm, ran it, cleared all the codes, and it's been running fine since. Well, it was warm. I took it up the street, drove it about a mile up the road and back just to get used to driving down the road. I would have liked to have done more. In fact, so part of the problem is today's President's Day, so the TYM headquarters and dealership that have all the technical expertise, they were closed today. So these dudes came down on their own to get my tractor going, which is fantastic. I really appreciate Derek and his team at Scott's Recreation because they have gone to see this through. And I addressed some other concerns about the grease and stuff. And so the technician's going to be talked to who did the service on this and just be, brought up to speed about all the things you need to do. So I've driven it. I tested the trailer lights on it and they work. I had to get an adapter. I'll show that another time. And I dropped off the wood chipper, swapped it out. I got a new ball to go in the hitch that I got to put in so I can put the trailer on the hitch. I'm was just starting tonight to take the front end loader off because I don't want that on driving down the road as far as I've got to go with the bull to the slaughterhouse. So I started, but I'm not quite sure the first time I've done it. So I want to look at the manual again, maybe watch a video online. It's pretty straightforward. It's way simpler than the case, undoing the case on the front end loader. So I want to do that tomorrow morning when I'm fresh, and then I got to prep. We're going to try and load the bull tomorrow afternoon because Wednesday morning I've got to get him there by 8. It should only take half hour to get over there, but I want to leave plenty of time because I'm doing this for the first time in the tractor. So I'm going to leave here at 7, and so I'm sure I'm there and ready to unload him. But we're going to have a challenge loading him tomorrow because last night he was wild. He broke out of the barn, tore the gates right off the hinge. He was a little wild. I don't know why he was so riled up. He's been mostly calm today, but he's leering at me right now. I think he knows what's up. He knows his time is limited here. So we are going to get rid of him. He is a severe liability at this point. He's been challenging us on everything. He's been smacking into the cows, and it's we'll talk about dairy bulls another time. All right, let's so I stopped doing the loader, removing the loader till I can refresh myself on the manual and maybe a video. Pretty straightforward to do, but it's getting late. I've got to get the cows fed. I'll be milking tonight. So yeah, I'm really happy that the tractor's running and working and drives good. The gearbox is tight still because I haven't driven it. I mean, it has literally 15 hours on it. So, and I've driven it the most now that it's been driven. And I did do some tightening. I made sure all the lug nuts were tight after I did my drive. I marked them with some red paint, or a paint pen, so that we can see whether they move or whether they loosen. And I've done some other little tidbits we'll talk about another time. All right, I gotta get crack on with chores. I'm just out here finishing up the marking of the hydraulic lines on the front end loader. I've got the wraps on the fixed side, and I waited to take the individual lines off the connections so that I could get them wrapped here, because they were just so close, it was hard to get them fiddled around. I'm leaving the last line unmarked, A, because it'd be the only one that's unmarked, and B, because the last color that I have is black, so it doesn't make sense putting that on here. I'll save that for another use. So I've just got one last line to take off of here, and then I can be free of the front end loader and not have to travel with it tomorrow. Really impressed with how easy it's been to take the front end loader off. The case was nothing but a trauma. I mean, it was really a struggle to get it off, and even worse to get it back on. So I haven't put this one back on yet, but I'm assuming, given how it's set up, that it should be a piece of cake. The only thing I need to do maybe is get caps for these male fittings, because I know that these are the right fittings for the job in this case, but caps might just help if any oil leaks and getting like hay, chaff, and dust and stuff trapped on there. So maybe a set of hydraulic line caps for there would be a good idea, because there is definitely some fluid that came out when I released that. But for now, I am going to get this backed out of here so I can leave the loader behind. Once again, we had the textbook perfect loading of an animal, and neither of us were filming it. We are getting rid of Spruce because he's been dangerous. He's our bull. He's 2 years old, and Jersey dairy bulls can turn on a dime. They can be really sweet one day, and then they can be absolutely maniacal killers the next day. So he's turned. He's nailed Allison in the leg a couple times. He's challenged me. He's running down the cows. It's time he goes. But we brought him in through the parlor. He walked right in. We had to build a ramp out of pallets so that we could get him up into the trailer, and we got him up, and we used Carmen, the new tractor, to pull it out. Just perfect. Probably one of the easiest loadings we've ever had, and we didn't catch it on film. Hey, Mr. Moo, say goodbye to your fan club. One-way ticket. So all that's left to do is check the wiring, and then tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock, off I go. Well, I just got out of the town office and have just paid for the tractor registration so I can drive the tractor over the road, because I may have explained this previously, but if you own all the pieces of your farm, however widespread it is, you can drive your tractor across the roads between your farm without registering it. But if you do work for anybody else, or you drive between fields that aren't yours, which we lease fields, then you have to register the tractor. And it's not an easy process. It's not as easy as registering a car, because tractors are different. But they charge the same as the car, which is really absurd. The mill rate is absurd. I just paid over $1,200 to register the tractor for road use for a year. So I'll be driving that fucking thing everywhere I can, because that's absurd. I was thinking it was gonna be a couple $100. I don't know, in Maine each town has a property tax, so technically you have to pay that property tax for the tractor, and paying the excise tax on it for the road use may be actually less than what it would be otherwise. But wow, $1,200, that's new tractor, expensive tractor. I would hate to think of what that would cost if it was a more expensive tractor. Ouch. Ouch, I say. So yeah, I'm gonna go home and mount this plate on the tractor and see where we can go. What do you think, cheesemaker in a tractor?
I have the desire.
You're so far up there.
It's really high. I'm gonna get a nosebleed.
You have the desire to drive?
I have the desire to drive.
One thing I did, it beeps at you, fortunately, but it makes you release the parking brake before you can go anywhere.
That's nice of it.
Yeah, intuitive. Just working on the trailer wiring. I had to disconnect the brake wires because the brakes were locked on the trailer, because I had to use an adapter, because tractors use 7-pin. I'll show you another time. I don't want to undo it. Tractors use 7-pin round connectors. Trailers use 7-pin flat plug connectors. So I had to get an adapter, and obviously there's a wire cross that was engaging the brakes. So I had to disconnect the trailer brakes so they weren't locked. Undoing the blue wires and just setting them aside. And I won't need the trailer brakes because the tractor's so heavy. And I'm not sure, I have to get the wiring diagram for the tractor. I'm pretty sure it says inside that there's trailer brakes, and it should register that the trailer is attached to it. But I think that's only if you have the round pins. So I've got to get the wiring diagram. I may have to update trailers or make my own adapter or something. I'm not sure. Or I've also inquired with the dealer if we can get a flat pin plug that works in the wiring harness. Because surely I don't know why tractors come with a 7-pin round plug. It's just stupid. Means you have to basically only have trailers that work with your tractor and ones that work with your truck, and it's kind of absurd. Anyway, so we're getting set. Everything should be set to take the tractor tomorrow morning over to the slaughterhouse, about 9 miles away. Don't have a pickup, so we're using the tractor. And Spruce is inside. He's not happy. Hopefully he'll calm down, because we don't need any issues. See you in a bit. I'm just here at the slaughterhouse picking up the collar and bell from Spruce Bud and his head back there in a box. This isn't the usual slaughterhouse we use, but it is a USDA slaughterhouse. We could ship this meat, which will be good. Crystal X. Huh. And yeah, we don't usually use the slaughterhouse, but they have a rather nice little boutique meat market here. I'm off. Allison is not feeling well today, so we're gonna make her some chicken soup next. It's faster getting here in the car than taking the tractor, which took about 40 minutes to go the 12 miles in the tractor earlier. So I did the round trip in just about an hour and a half, given a stop to unload the bull. And so not horrific. The roads are very bumpy driving the tractor over them. So yeah, didn't film any of it because just too much going on, and just can't do that. I shouldn't be filming this right now. So anyway, bye.